The University Council, noting his eminent service to the arts and music, resolved that it would be fitting that the degree of Doctor of Music, honoris causa, were to be conferred on Joseph Tawadros, AM. And today, we admit him to the university's highest honour. Joseph Tawadros, AM, I now ask you to move forward to the Chancellor for the presentation of your degree.
In the name of the Council, and by the authority vested in me as Chancellor of the University of New South Wales, it is an enormous honour to confer upon you one of our highest awards, that of Doctor of Music, honoris causa. You've done amazing things, you're an incredibly talented person, and let's hope this is just the start of yet another 20 or 30 chapters, but thank you for all you've done in the chapters past. Congratulations, Doctor. Ladies and gentlemen, the occasional address today, and maybe a little bit more, we'll see, will be given by Dr. Joseph Tawadros, and if you don't know who he is, you haven't been listening.
Good morning, everybody. Mr. David Gonski, AC, Chancellor of the University of New South Wales, Professor Claire Annesley, Dean of the Faculty of Arts, Design and Architecture, the University of New South Wales staff, graduating students, their families, and distinguished guests. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here to be receiving the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize for, sorry, it's a wrong speech. That's next week. Sorry about that. Just, baby steps. I'm so honoured to be with you here today and very humbled to be receiving the University of New South Wales' highest honour. When I received the email that I would be receiving this doctorate, I was deeply moved. It's quite an amazing honour, but I also was able to ring my friends doing PhDs to rub it in their face. I was like, how's that thesis going, buddy? 3 years, eh? All right. Anyway, as was said, I was born in 1983 in the bustling area of Shobra, the most densely populated district of Cairo. At the age of 2, I immigrated with my parents, Nabil and Rosa, and my 2 brothers, John and George, to Sydney. My parents had sold their lives to bring us up to a faraway, magical place called Australia for a chance at a better life. Things didn't go smoothly when we arrived, and we were thrown around a little bit from place to place. First to a house in Harris Street, Ultimo, run by the Uniting Church, where we had to share the house with an 80-year-old guy called Bill. Bill was an interesting character. It was a bit of a challenge, but an insight into Aussie life for a newly arrived Egyptian family. I think the final straw was when my parents found me one afternoon drinking beer with Bill. Must have been 4 at the time. Things haven't changed, really. We then moved to a house in St. Peter's for roughly a year, before finally settling into a housing commission house in Waterloo, where the local school was Redfern Public. This is where I spent my primary school years. The school had many lively characters, from teachers and volunteers, Indigenous aunties and uncles. It was made up of local Indigenous children, mostly from nearby Everleigh Street, and some immigrant children starting their education in Australia. It wasn't necessary to wear school uniform, but it was advised to make an effort and wear the school colours of green and red. Looking back on some school photos, I think my parents must have thought turquoise was a shade of green, but near enough was good enough. If you showed up to school, that's what mattered. Redfern Public was an interesting experience which gave me a unique education into some Indigenous culture, music and ceremonies. That is where I first encountered the didgeridoo, cooked and ate damper, and one time tasted kangaroo that was cooked underground in the Oval. Sport was very popular as well, in particular rugby league, with regular visits from the South Sydney Rabbitohs players, some of which had previously attended the school. Redfern wasn't all rosy. It was a tough place to learn for most of the time. There were a lot of social issues, and sometimes teachers were forced into childcare roles rather than teaching a class. Redfern wasn't the hip and happening oat milk latte drinking place that it is today, but it taught me some value lessons about my fellow human beings, and most importantly, gave me a sense of community. My parents pushed me and my siblings to study and achieve, and that was the way we were going to get ahead in life. Outside schooling, being Egyptian, we were brought up as Coptic Orthodox Christians and were taken to St. George's Coptic Orthodox Church every Sunday, just off Anzac Parade down the road here. It was a challenge to get up on Sundays, pretty early, I must say, every Sunday to attend the Mass, but this became a very big part of my childhood. The Mass in the church is chanted by the priests, the deacons, and the congregation. It's a very musical experience. And this is where my first music lessons, I would say, happened, and where my love of music began. Every week we sang, sometimes in Arabic, sometimes in Coptic, and sometimes English to Coptic melodies, which created an interesting hybrid, which I still find fascinating. This was a subtle way of integration into our new Aussie way of life, and where our Middle Eastern and Australian cultures seamlessly merged together. I hope this gives you a little insight into my childhood in Australia and why today means so much to me. There were many times I was ashamed of my background, especially when I first started high school. I went to Randwick Boys, an eastern suburb school just down the road here. Students seemed to be well prepared, there was a strict school uniform code, and I didn't want people to know that I'd lived in public housing or previously attended Redfern Public. I struggled in the beginning to adjust to this stricter high school life, in contrast to the free-spirited nature Redfern Public had instilled in me. Now that I'm 42 years old and looking back on a 30-year career, I know it's hard to believe, but I started very young performing. I was kind of like, child prodigy, one of those. It's kind of like Macaulay Culkin, the Home Alone of Wood. That's how popular it was back then. But I learned one big lesson, and one lesson that I really carry with me is never be ashamed from where you come from. This is why I'm so proud to stand here before you and tell you all about it, not with a sense of shame, but great pride. It is a badge of honor that some people don't have the privilege of experiencing, living with all different types of people, cultures, learning about them, loving them, and receiving a special insight into a world people never get to taste, let alone be a part of. Sometimes we may lose perspective because we can't put ourselves in someone else's shoes, and this is why now I appreciate my humble beginnings more than ever. I play the oud, a short-necked, half-pear-shaped lute, which is a strong symbol of Middle Eastern music. It's a magical instrument which holds heavy cultural weight, and I started learning it to be in touch with my Egyptian heritage and learn more about where I was born. I learned traditional songs and pieces, but being brought up in Australia, I was exposed to many different cultures and musical backgrounds. I slowly began to realize the similarities that some musical genres had with Middle Eastern music and began experimenting with cross-cultural collaboration. I quickly discovered the flexibility of the oud, not as something exotic, but as an instrument that could touch many people regardless of wherever they came from in the world. I'd like to think of my music as Australian, just as inclusive as I have known Australia to be to me and my family. Music is connection, it's spiritual, it's powerful, it unites, and it's such a great privilege to be able to perform with amazing musicians and orchestras around the world. Now, in saying that, what could a colourful Egyptian-Australian oud player with a twirled moustache and extremely good looks say to a room of intelligent people like yourselves? I thought it might be of benefit to share 5 quotes that I've lived by and hope that they may bring you a little inspiration. Number 1, you're only as good as the company you keep. I've been incredibly lucky to have been surrounded by successful, loving people that have helped shape the way I think and given me different perspectives, not only about music, but about life. Find these people, surround yourselves with them, learn from them, and make sure they celebrate you for who you are, no matter how different or unique you may be. Be yourself and don't let anyone drag you away from your values. Number 2, take the music seriously and not yourself. Working hard does not mean not having fun. Enjoy what you do, have fun with your colleagues, joke around, create a wonderful environment and spirit, and don't take yourself too seriously. It has been my experience that really successful people that I've worked with possess a beautiful, light-hearted spirit to them. They don't pull rank, they don't belittle you, and they see you as an equal at all times, regardless of your age or position. They ask questions and they possess a confidence to their work, and people generally want to be around that energy. Number 3, work is love made visible. These are the words of the great Lebanese writer Khalil Gibran. He penned them in 1923 in his famous book, The Prophet. I've always been inspired by these words, but basically, the sentiment is do your work well, dedicate yourself to it, and undertake it with genuine intention. If you feel that you're not going to do a good job, don't accept it, or at least do your best and don't curse it along the way. If you accept it, then commit wholeheartedly. Know your strengths, find your team, and work with happiness. The energy you put into it does carry across. Gibran continues in this passage, for if you bake bread with indifference, you bake a bitter bread that feeds but half a man's hunger. And if you grudge the crushing of the grapes, your grudge distills a poison in the wine. Number 4, inclusion is kindness. In whatever you do, be kind and include people, especially be kind to strangers. Make someone's day. It's not about money, it's not about getting a house or a fancy car or achieving your goals at any cost. I know many people who have burnt many bridges on the way to achieving their goals. And to paraphrase the Bible, what is it worth to gain the whole world and lose your soul? Be kind in your work. Try to see the other person's perspective. Ask questions. Learn about your fellow human and show leniency when you can. You will be remembered for your kindness and not the things you have accumulated. And lastly, another Khalil Gibran gem, love knows not its own depth until the hour of separation. Today is filled with great honor and happiness for me, but it is also bittersweet. In 2012, I lost my mother, Rosa, to cancer at the age of 59. And a year later, my father to a stroke, age 69. They passed away unexpectedly, and all these years later, I miss them very much. Please do not wait to tell your loved ones that you love them. Show them appreciation. Do the things that matter now, and do not wait for the hour of separation, because it may be sooner than you think. My parents were 2 of my big inspirations who are part of my team that helped encourage and shape me into who I am. It is hard losing a parent, let alone 2 in the space of a year, and it was a very intense and confusing time for me. I have composed much music about them to deal with the grief and sadness, and today I would like to close my address by performing my composition, Permission to Evaporate. This piece is about hope and healing, but also about letting yourself just be. In those tough times when so much is happening and so much may be required of you, from family, from friends, from work, from the world, it's okay to remember yourself, be alone, and give yourself permission to evaporate. I know there are many of you here who have lost loved ones and wish they were in this room celebrating with you today. It must be bittersweet for you too. I truly believe they are here in some way, but most importantly in our hearts and in the way we treat others in our daily lives. So let's think of them, these beautiful people that are a great part of our story. We carry them with us always. Thank you to all of you today, to everyone that made this possible, to the University of New South Wales, the staff, the students, to my siblings John, George, Diana, and James, who have also been on this journey with me, and to all my friends that attended today. From the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. I'll make an admission, which I've actually made a few times, that when I sat here for my graduation, somebody made a speech. I can't remember what they said. I don't remember who they were. But I've got a feeling that every single person who graduated today will remember the man in the orange, red, whatever it is, coat who played so beautifully and made us really think into our souls. You're an amazing man, Joseph. And I've got to say, I listened to your 5 pieces of advice, but it's interesting, the one that really stood out for me was the one that came before the 5. Never be ashamed of where you come from, and always think about getting into other people's shoes and what they can do. And what a wonderful life you've led, and congratulations. We're very proud that you've accepted this honour. And the only thing I'd say to slightly lift the audience, those of you who've seen his shoes will know that I should get in them because it matches this better than it matches his clothes. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Joseph Tawadros, aren't we lucky to have him?